Woman, I've waited 15 years to say hello to you.
Well, it's great to see so many people together. Well, I can't see you, but imagine so many people together, that's for sure.
And here's Ed Sciaky.
We're not even doing a concert, but what the heck.
Oh.
I got a little bit of good news. The Yes album is finished. And believe me, it really is fantastic. I'm more than happy.
Hi, John, it's Ed.
Ed Sciaky.
How you doing?
Hello.
Hey, thanks again for that great breakfast. That was wonderful. That was the highlight of our trip to L.A., you know?
Well, you know, these things do happen.
Yeah. Well, that was back in February, and but we just did speak to Trevor Rabin yesterday, who told us that he finished mixing the album on Friday.
Yeah, we were in seventh heaven just listening to it all the way through for the first time. And it's really like getting out of school, you know.
Yeah.
All that we're thinking about now is getting on the road and playing, you know.
Yeah. We have a lot of people want to talk to you. Just briefly, what do you? Trevor told us a little bit about the album, but what's your impression of the album in terms of the things that you contributed to and the individual songs?
Well, the general feeling is that, you know, whichever way you look at it, making an album, there's always a certain amount of pain and frustration that takes place, and this has been a couple of years of, you know, the ebb and flow of music as it happens within a group, but the end justifies the means, which is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
And as I say, I'm living in 7/7 because the overall album just sounds so fantastic to me, and I'm more than pleased for the group to have done the album, you know, to come out with an album like this. At this time in its career, we're entering into the 20th year.
How do you characterize the album, though? How would you describe it?
Oh, I thought that, how do I describe it? I'll say it's very modern, it's very, very heavy. It's very, very,
What do you mean by heavy?
heavy in terms of, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's just got so much music in it and so many typical, Yes styles of music. It's so different than anything we've done before, and it really, to me, it does top 90125 in terms of the overall song presentation and the energy that went into each song. And Trevor's done a remarkable finalized production and mix on it.
Right.
It's a hard thing to pull off, but he really did it.
And he says that you contributed more this time around.
Well, I was able to go in at the ground, the grassroots, and some of the lyrics that have come out are now kind of very prophetic in a lot of ways, because the album is called The Big Generator, which I always felt was the Earth, and we are the big generator. We sort of are, we're going to start learning to understand the Earth as our Mother Earth, and we're going to really reassess our position on this planet over the next 2 or 3 years. I don't know if you know this, but I sent along a little bit of information relating to the harmonic convergence, which is this wonderful supernatural thing that's happening on the 16th, 17th of August 1987. It's an ancient prophecy that new energy will come to this planet from the universe, and it just happens that you only need to pick up 1 or 2 books to realize that it is this year, and the 16th and 17th of August marks the beginning of this energy coming to this planet, and it only needs for people to be open-hearted and aware of that energy level. And it's a little bit, as I say, I sent a little bit of information through the post to you, and I hope people get a chance to read it.
Okay.
It's in ancient Indian prophecy, it's in ancient Buddhism prophecy, it's in the Bible, and it all relates to a lot of wonderful, wonderful things happening to us on this planet over the next 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Okay. John, a bunch of people who want to talk to you. Okay, you ready?
One more thing.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys out there, you remember when I would sing that song in the mid-70s, What Happened to This Song We Once Knew So Well?
Mm-hmm.
Well, believe me, the song is on the album.
Oh. What did you say?
The song that we lost a long time ago. It's come back to us, you know?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'll talk to you again. Here are the people who want to talk to you, okay? Okay, I'll talk to you again at the end.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Hello, John. I'm Stephanie.
Hi, Steph.
And I'd like you to know that you truly are some of the big generators of the world when it comes to positive music, music that brings people together, and music that brings peace and a lot of spiritualism to a lot of people. I wanted you to know that.
Thank you very much.
My question is, in general, I know there are some things that you'd like to accomplish. I know you're working on a solo album. I know you're going to be doing the tour, but what would you like to be doing musically, say, within the next 10 years, and expanding what you have been doing and what you'd be doing with Yes or acting or whatever you have in mind?
Yeah, well, you know, my dreams have always been to write some very, very modern symphonic ideas. I'm working already on a large-scale thing that I've been working on for 5 years. I'd love to see that in either film or theater. I'm not exactly sure. I'm very, very excited of doing my solo album now. I'm just halfway through that. But the most important thing to me at the moment is Big Generator is ready for the people, and we're ready for it, you know.
Well, so are we, and if you think you're in seventh heaven, you should be where we are now.
I'll tell you one thing, you know, I've learned a lot over the years, but one thing that sticks in my mind a heck of a lot is that whatever you dream, whatever you want, you can have in this life. Life is like that. Life is a very magical experience, and you can get anything you want out of life if you dream it hard enough. There's a new saying coming out. It says, wake up and dream. Because that's really where it's at. Life is not, we're kind of living in an unreal world sometimes, and we have to wake up and dream and look for the real world.
Thank you, John. Do something for that.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, John.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Bob from Ambler.
Hi,
That's
Bob.
in Pennsylvania.
Wonderful.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine. I'm having a very, very good day today.
That's great. I really don't have a question for you as much as just my gratitude and for your feeling and giving me feeling of Christmas again with that last album of yours. I thought it was just a beautiful thing. I think you're a beautiful person. I just needed to tell you that.
Thanks a lot. That's really great. I really enjoyed making that album, you know. The idea that Christmas is something that's inside everybody. It isn't something you can go and buy in a shop, you know.
That's right.
And it's there for us to have. That's the funniest thing. We have all these energies and beautiful things inside of us, and we don't know how to unlock them all the time. But now and again you get a little bit of inspiration, generally through music. And you hear somebody's music and it just touches something inside you. Well, that's part of life. The harmony of life is the same as the harmony of music. If the music is right, it touches the soul.
That's exactly right. I'll tell you what, you've touched my soul. I know you've touched a lot of people in here's soul. You should see them all staring at me talking to you.
Well, I'm just very lucky to be in that position. I'm very lucky and very honored to be making music and still being excited about the future. Because as the line says at the end of the album, the last thing that I sing on the end of the album is, the future is a friend of yours and mine, and that's true.
All right.
Thank you very much. It was an honor to talk to you. Hi, John. This is Rob Garrity. How are you? Hello, John.
Hi there.
Rob Garrity from New Jersey. How are you?
I'm fine, Rob.
Great to talk to you. Listen, at the time of your release of the Three Ships album, you did promotional interviews in New York City. One of them was with Howard Stern. I was wondering what your reaction was to his style and whether or not you were insulted by him, or did you just sit back and go along with him. Do you remember it?
I just thought Howard was crazy.
Oh. Okay.
But he wasn't, really underneath it. He was a sweet guy. It was just his style. If you take it too seriously, you get wound up. And I didn't take any of it seriously. And I remember later on in that day, I was driving out of New York, and I saw Howard Johnson. So I just bopped in there and rang him up and said, "I just saw your name here, man. I had to ring you up and say hi again." That was how I felt about him. I thought he was quite a spirited guy, and he doesn't mean what he says. I think he kind of puts it all together like that just to keep everybody on the toes,
Okay, and also you mentioned that with the Three Ships album there was an intertwining story with all the songs. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, that was just an idea that we were losing contact with the whole idea of what Christmas really means. And I was saying earlier that the Christmas spirit is within each person, that you don't have to go to a shop to buy it. Or I think the emblem that we use is a tree. We forget that it's a tree, you see, and what it is part of the earth, and part of the earth is what we are. We're all part of this wonderful planet. And Christmas really has been lost, and the idea was a little girl comes from the future, and she's lost it. In the future, we start to lose it because we keep getting involved in religion, we keep getting involved in presents and material things, and this little girl comes from the future to New York, looking for the origins of Christmas and what was Christmas really all about. And the idea, it seems, is very simple, that Christ consciousness is within everybody, whether you're a Buddhist, Muslim, Christian, whatever religion you really get off on, Christ consciousness is still there, but it's within you. And that was the idea of making the album, trying to get that thing over. You've got to be a child again. Be a child, and then you'll still wonder about the world and what surrounds us,
That's very true, John, and I appreciate all the work you've done. Do some more solo stuff, and I'll let somebody else talk to you, all right?
Thanks so much.
All right, talk to you.
Thank you.
Hi, John. This is Mark Spear from Los Angeles. How you doing?
Hey.
I just wanted to ask you, I understand you've been signed with Warner Brothers Music to do some outside writing, and you've been writing with a gentleman named Don Freeman. I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about something about that.
Well, the idea started last September, and I met with Don Freeman and a couple of other people, and it's fantastic to be able to write with other people. It's something that when you live in Los Angeles, you tend to isolate yourself a little bit, so I was more than happy to work with other people. I've done a couple of songs with Toto, I've done a couple of things with a couple of other guys, and Don Freeman and me have wrote 2 songs for my album, which sound really fantastic. And next, I think 2 weeks, I'll be writing with a guy called Lamont Dozier, who's one of the great writers of the last 20 years.
Yes, Motown.
So, this living in Los Angeles has really opened up my sort of writing energy. I seem to want to write for other people, but as yet, I tried to write for a couple of other people, but it just takes time for people to get to know that.
Right.
I'll probably get somebody ringing me up maybe in the next month and say, I heard that song, can we use it for our album? And it's just another avenue of energy that I enjoy working with, really.
Yes. Well, I've heard New Civilization. I like that song a lot.
Did?
Yes.
Wow.
I have my ways.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the song. One other question. Where are you going to be August 16th and 17th?
Well, I believe that the reason I found out about the harmonic convergence was my interest in the ancient American Indian people that lived and used to live here thousands of years ago. I think the American people have got to start to become aware that the American Indians, this is their land, this holy land here. When the American people point to Israel and say, oh, that's the Holy Land, I think they've got a misconception, because Holy Land is all over the place.
Right.
And when I got involved in finding out about the ancient Toltec Indians, I realized that had a knowledge which we are about to relearn over the next 5 years, which is the art of dimensional travel, which is the art of the traveling speed of light. And during the course of finding out about the Toltecs, I was led to this sort of awakening in my mind about the harmonic convergence. So on the 16th and 17th, I think I'm going to spend it with the Toltec Indians.
Excellent. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I'll pass you to the next gentleman.
Thank you very much.
Hello, John. My name is Ross Eilberg from Northeast Philly. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
First of all, I'd like to personally thank you for being born. But I have to warn you that what I have to request of you isn't your normal request. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay. I was introduced to Yes Music in 1974 by my older brother, and we used to spend countless hours together just listening to your music. It was always seeming to heighten my highs and soothe my lows, and I wanted you to know that your music's been great. My brother and I share the bond of your music, though if nothing more, and he was killed 2 years ago, and I wanted to know if the next time you're up in your seventhly heaven existence, if you could tell him that I'm down here carrying on Yes in your music. Do you think you could do that for me?
Sorry, what do you say the last sentence? Just say it louder.
I wanted to know if the next time you're up in your seventhly heaven existence, maybe when you hit one of those high notes during Gates of Delirium or long distance runaround, if you could tell him that I'm down here carrying on Jon Anderson and his music. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Right. I'm looking forward to the new album.
I'm looking forward to getting up there on stage and singing, because we've been off the road for 2 years, and it's driving me crazy.
Well, I want you to know I'll be there front row in Philly, so you can come over.
I'll be still singing the high notes, believe me.
All right, thanks. You can come over for dinner if you'd like to.
Wonderful. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Hello, John.
Hi.
Hi, this is so wonderful to talk to you. I can't even tell you.
I can speak up a little bit.
First of all, your music has meant so much to me. I can't even begin to describe it. Words will not suffice. It's just been beautiful. Many experiences, both joy and peace and love. Just beautiful. I was wondering if you could say happy birthday to my godson, who's here. His name is Jason, and he's 8 months old today. He's wonderful, and he'd love to hear it.
What's his name?
Jason? Jason.
Happy birthday, Jason.
Thank you. I know it's like his mom. Very
Good boy, okay?
You're a wonderful person.
Thank you.
We're very excited to see the Yes Show, and here's someone else. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks so much.
Hello, John.
Yeah.
That was my fiance.
Wonderful.
And, gee, I just don't know what to say. I saw you out in Alpine Valley in Wisconsin, and at the end of Hearts, 2 shooting stars went over the crowd, and I was wondering if you saw it, because you were underneath the band show.
Boy, well, it sounds really good anyway. Whether I saw it or not doesn't matter really, because, it's just one of them things that happens sometimes. There's a lot more magic to life than we understand half the time, especially when music is being played and people are appreciating that energy, because music is from the spheres. We're just the receivers, and we collectively, that's the group and yourselves, collectively, we make the energy for that evening, and that energy resounds through the planet, and that's why the planet, in some ways, can put on a nice show for us now and again.
I know, that was incredible.
Yeah, and I know that I never ever think that the band does it alone. They never do it. It's a definite connection between the spheres, the people, and the planet. It's becoming more clearer to me as every day goes by. I'm more happy when, like you people, you got on the phone and say you enjoy this, you enjoy that, and that's exactly what should be happening. People enjoying their own perception of what's going on around them, and I love that every moment of it, really.
And so do I. I can really feel it.
Good.
And, I really don't know what to say, so I guess I'll say we love you.
Okay, thank you so much.
And we'll hope to see you on tour.
I'm sure we will.
Okay, peace, love.
Okay.
Bye now.
Hi, John. This is Dorothy from Philly.
Hi there.
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Boy, I was just standing here, and the only thing I could think of was this most spectacular moment in my life. I just admire your work so much, you know.
Thank you.
What I want to know is if you're considering in the future maybe putting something on vinyl with like one large spiritual or cultural type of theme, maybe not like in regards to something similar to Tales, but maybe something more, you know, going towards the things that you're going through right now, and you know, anything like that. Maybe you were talking about that large-scale musical piece or stage production. Maybe something to do with that.
Well, the thing that I've started to understand is that there are no boundaries in sort of musical terms. So at times I start thinking that it would be nice to start creating music which was for healing. Now, someone told me about a week ago that this used to happen thousands of years ago in the ancient Atlantean times. Now, I'm not really so kind of engrossed in all that kind of mythology or whatever, but I started to understand there were times when people could use music as a healing process for their body, for their spiritual mind, and for many different levels. And I think that happens anyway. Subconsciously, we listen to certain music to calm us down, and subconsciously, we listen to certain kinds of music to sort of make us feel comfortable with ourselves. So these are areas that I'm sort of entering into. I've been, in the last 2 or 3 months, musically, I do a lot of work at home here, and I write a lot of different kinds of music. So some of it seems to be coming from different times. It doesn't seem to be as though it's modern music. It seems to be ancient and then futuristic at the same time. And I think some of this, incorporated with visuals, could be used instead of hospitals at times. I know it sounds crazy, but in some writings and some people have told me that's what used to happen 10,000 years ago on this planet. They used to use music and visuals to heal people. So, hey, who knows what's around the corner?
Okay, well, thanks a lot, and keep sharing that insight with the rest of us who really love you.
Okay, thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Hi, John. This is Mark. How are you?
I'm fine, Mark.
John, I just want to say what a thrill this is for me to be speaking with you. You've been an idol of mine for many, many years, and it's just a great moment for me. But my question is this. When you broke from Yes and you met with Vangelis and did short stories, it's one of my favorite albums, but how did the improvisational work you did on that album affect your future music, and what sort of experience was that for you?
Well, the first thing was that I'd already been a friend of Vangelis for about 5 or 6 years before we even sang or did any music together. So when I got together with Vangelis, I suggested that we didn't even think about what we were going to write. We'd just write. We'd just be what it is that day, and if that day happens, it'll happen. So it was exactly the opposite to working with Yes. So in a way, I realized that there are so many different ways of making music, and in a way it was like going back to school. I think sometimes that my situation is always like being in school at times. I'm always learning every other day. I'm learning something new and experiencing something new, and I try to really bring it back into the music that I do in order that anybody else who might want to get up on, the music that I write can understand where it comes from. So writing with Vangelis was such a rich experience because it was so different.
Mm-hmm. John, one quick thing. My son Alex just turned a year old last week, and I want you to know I must have listened to Animation about 10 times right after he was born. Couldn't be a better song.
Thank you.
Yeah. One quick thing.
Alex is still an angel,
Yeah, you're right.
It's true. Kids are still angels till they're about 15 months, 4 to 6. When they start walking and being mischievous, that's when they come into the real world.
Well, my wife's looking at me right now. I think she disagrees, but it's certainly nice to know. John, looking forward to your solo album and you taking us into the 90s. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
John, this is Joe Talent from Drexel Hill, PA.
Okay.
How you doing?
I'm fine, thanks.
First of all, I'd just like to say God bless you for all you've done over the years.
Thank you.
And next, I can't really think of a question right now. The only question would be is that if you could please sing Easier Said Than Done for us here today.
Easier said than done.
Yeah.
How does it go? I forgot how it goes.
Or any song you like.
Pardon?
Any song you like.
Well, I can start singing soon, I suppose.
Okay. Could you do that?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Soon, oh soon, the light. Ours the ship will come, ours the ride. The sun will lead us, our reason to be here. Gosh, over the phone as well, I can't believe it. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot,
John. Hi, John. My name is Glade, and I have a quick message from Mark and Dara Murray. They say hello. They've had 2 kids since the last album, and they just wanted you to know that. I don't have a question. I just want to say that out of all the music that you've done, the closing moments of Animation and Song of Seven are just so powerful, so complete, so spiritual, so uplifting. And I know that everyone in this room is feeling the love that comes out of that music, that comes through you. And we just love you for that. And my wife and I used both of those songs in music for our wedding, and they just really helped tie us together.
Excellent.
And we just love you, John.
Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Hi, John. It's Ed again.
Ed Sciaky.
Hey. You know,
People are so great, I gotta tell you.
they are great, and everybody in this room is just mesmerized at the moment. A couple of trivial questions came up over the last couple of days. There were 2 different David Fosters. Is that right?
Well, David Foster was the bass player in my original band, and he helped to write Time and a Word and a couple of other songs there. But David Foster, the other guy, is from Canada. He's the guy that produces Chicago.
Right. So it's interesting that there were 2 different David Fosters that you wrote with.
You know, life goes in cycles, right?
Mm-hmm. Also, this David Tickle, is that Peter Gabriel or not?
Yeah.
It is. Okay, so there is no one named really David Tickle.
Oh, yeah, there is.
What?
It's a producer who worked with Peter Gabriel, and he also worked with Prince.
Uh-huh. So, who produced the Gallon single that you worked on? Was it Peter Gabriel?
No, that was David Tickle.
It was David Tickle.
Uh-huh.
Are you sure? I'm so confused.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah.
It's Sunday.
Right.
What the heck?
And how's the weather out in L.A.?
It's beautiful. My children are here splashing around in the pool. It sounds really sort of L.A., but that's what it is, L.A.
It is L.A., and you have a beautiful house up there in the hills.
Yeah.
And the parts that you played me of the Yes album sounded great, and as Trevor was telling us also, he's thrilled, and everybody, I'm sure, will be anxiously awaiting the release.
It was a great moment on Friday. We got together, me, Chris, and Alan, and Tony, and Trevor. We were all standing around listening to the album for the first time after so many months. And I turned around to the guys and said, listen, what we should be doing now is really living this album in a harmony that we've never done before. And Chris went up to Studio 2 to finish up the 12-inch version of the one song called Love Will Find a Way. And he sort of came running back and said, okay, everybody in, we're all singing. And we all went in and sang we've all come to look for America in harmony, and along with the track, it sounded so good, I got to tell you. And we were all singing a couple of the songs on the album over this 12-inch field, and the harmony that we created was the best we've ever been. So I think that the band is on this sort of upsurge of energy that it's never had before. I mean, we've maybe all them albums, all those years of work has brought us to this moment in time that we can really pull it all together and really, I don't know what we're going to do, but it's going to be great.
Are you going to do videos for this?
Yeah, we were just talking about that today. We're going to be doing a video in about a month's time. And then we're preparing the stage design and everything for getting on tour, I think probably beginning, middle of October.
Okay. And what, I thought maybe we'd give people a chance to yell some of the old stuff they'd like you to consider doing on the tour. And I will...
We can only play for about
3 or 4 hours? 5 hours?
Like an afternoon, you know? The whole evening.
Well, let me take some requests here, just so John will have an idea when he goes in to fight with the band members about what they're going to do, right? Awaken, Revealing Science of God. How about Ritual? How about Close to the Edge? Siberian to True. Sound Chaser, To Be Over. Arriving UFO. Okay, well, it gives you an idea. I'm sure you'll get to all of those, right?
Yeah, we'll do all that.
All that, okay. Great, no problem.
Rumor has it that we might be trying a little bit of Close to the Edge, you know.
Okay, John, we really appreciate it, and any final words to the assembled throng here at YesCon?
Okay, well, it's a pleasure to be able to talk to you this time. I did miss you last year, and it's a pleasure to talk to you all. The next time is when we'll all get together, okay?
Yeah. Well, we appreciate it.
Exactly doing the big at JFK Stadium, and we'll just have to all get together and do it, right?
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it.
Look forward to it. Take care, everybody.
John, thank you. Hold on just a second, John, okay?
Yeah.
Hold on.